The Steelers' decision to hire Mike McCarthy marks one of the most symbolic moments in the recent history of the franchise. For the first time since 1969, Pittsburgh is completely breaking from its traditional pattern and betting on a veteran coach, a Super Bowl champion with extensive experience in the NFL at 62 years old and with over 300 games as a head coach. McCarthy represents the exact opposite of the young and inexperienced profile that has always defined the organization's previous choices.
Set to become just the fourth Steelers head coach since 1969. He's going to be 62 when the season starts, having had 310 games head coaching experience in the NFL. This actually runs counter to the way the Steelers have done business with their previous head coaches, all of them hired at under 40 years old and with no head coaching experience. As we go to a guy with all the experience in the world, our very own Adam Schefter with us, as he is every football Sunday. So McCarthy, we know he's a Pittsburgh native. He also beat the Steelers back in Super Bowl 45. How did they decide that this veteran coach was the right man for the job, Shefty?
Hannah, they had three finalists in for in-person interviews. The former Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver, who was there Saturday, the Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores, and Mike McCarthy, who was in during the week. And obviously there's a strong connection with Mike McCarthy and Pittsburgh. He grew up rooting for that team. He obviously worked for the University of Pittsburgh. He worked on the Pennsylvania Turnpike collecting tolls overnight. His father owns a bar in the area. And if we go back to the press conference where Mike Tomlin stepped down and Art Rooney spoke out.
The choice of Mike McCarthy makes it clear that the Steelers did not want to hear the word rebuild. Art Rooney, Iowa's direct, the idea is to compete from day one. McCarthy is not coming in only because of his resume, but because of the cultural fit. He understands Pittsburgh, grew up cheering for the team, worked in the city, and deeply knows the weight of the franchise's tradition. Moreover, he brings something that the other finalists did not have a Super Bowl title and extensive experience in developing quarterbacks. And that's where the Aaron Rodgers factor comes in. Officially, the hiring was not made because of him, but it would be naive to ignore the impact of that relationship. Rodgers trusts McCarthy, knows the system, and knows exactly what to expect. Players and the organization want the quarterback's return. The only unknown is Rodgers' own willingness. If he comes back, Pittsburgh gains immediate stability. If not, McCarthy still offers something essential: a proven history in developing quarterbacks, which could accelerate the transition to a new name for the franchise. In the meantime, the context of the league only reinforces the importance of experience. Sam Darnold enters a decisive game, still dealing with injuries and turnover issues. Jarrett Stidham, after more than 700 days without playing, is thrown into the spotlight. In such a scenario, leadership, emotional preparedness, and knowledge of the moment usually make a difference. Exactly the kind of attributes Pittsburgh sought with McCarthy.
They felt like an experienced coach, unlike the other coaches that they were talking to. Somebody who had won a Super Bowl would serve this franchise well now, could help them in the quarterback area, and they decided to go with somebody with deep, strong connections to the city of Pittsburgh and hiring Mike McCarthy, who spent last year out of football.
Yeah, listen, a guy who understands that market, who understands that tradition, and also who understands their quarterback of last season, Aaron Rodgers. And I know you reported last week that the Steelers are open to Rodgers coming back next season. Obviously, he and McCarthy were together in Green Bay, but they were also there when McCarthy left Green Bay and was replaced by Matt LaFleur. Does McCarthy's hiring have anything to do with Rodgers' potential return to Pittsburgh?
Well, let's be clear, Hannah. The Pittsburgh Steelers hired Mike McCarthy because they believed he was the best coach to take over this team right now. That is why they hired him. But I also think it doesn't hurt that there is a relationship with Aaron Rodgers, who still has not made a decision about whether or not to play in 2026. He told the Steelers he wanted to take a good month to decide whether or not he wanted to play. I think most people thought that he went to Pittsburgh to go play for Mike Tomlin, and with Tomlin gone, that he wouldn't be back. But the Steelers have always kept open the door for Rodgers, almost to a man. The players wanted Rodgers back next year. which they shared during their exit interviews with the organization. The players want him back. The organization wants him back. The question is whether Rodgers wants to come back. But having a coach who he's played for before, somebody that he could pick up the system very easily, maybe that entices him to decide to come back to play one more year. That's up to Aaron Rodgers, and he has not made a decision yet.
Which is really typical. We'll be talking about that decision probably, or non-decision, for months. All right, let's get to the quarterbacks that are looking to get to the Super Bowl, a place that Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy have been. And let's start with Sam Darnold, limited in practice this week, as you have reported, with that oblique injury, a no-game designation for today. What can you tell us about Darnold?
And he's going to start today, make no doubt about that. But he split reps at practice this week with Drew Lock. They shared the reps, and I'm told that Darnold threw short passes, medium passes, but never let it rip during practice due to that oblique injury. He plans to be out there today and to try to let it rip today. He will start today, but that oblique injury does linger for Sam Darnold. As for Bo Nix, he underwent surgery this past week on that broken ankle that he suffered on this play right here against the Buffalo Bills. It'll sideline him, I'm told, 12 weeks. And the issue really is not the surgery, it's the recovery and him not being allowed to put weight on that ankle for a good month at all. So for anybody that had any hopes that somehow Bo Nix could miraculously return if the Broncos managed to beat New England and advance to the Super Bowl, that's not going to happen. He's not allowed to put any weight on that ankle for at least a month. He's supposed to be off the ankle for 12 weeks. He is expected to be ready for OTAs. And with Bo Nix sideline, it is now up to Jared Stidham, with Denver now becoming the new Stiddy City with their new quarterback taking over for Bo Nix.
Oh, my gosh. And Jarrett Stidham hasn't even thrown a pass since 2023. What an incredible story that would be if he gets his team to the Super Bowl. One last thing, because I saw you working the phones just moments before our show. You have another little nugget from coaching news from the carousel?
Moments ago, the Green Bay Packers agreed to hire the former Arizona Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon as their defensive coordinator. They've made that decision. Gannon had interviewed with the Packers this past week. He had spoken to the Cowboys, who filled that role. There are other teams that were interested in Jonathan Gannon, but as of this morning, the Green Bay Packers have reached a deal to bring Gannon to Green Bay.
Okay, and Jeff Hafley gone to the Dolphins. Adam, just that carousel just keeps on spinning.
Yep.
You're all over it, my friend. We'll see you. ESPN and ABC will have our first ever Super Bowl with Super Bowl 61. 385 days away. But who's counting, Jay?
I know. I know. You know, I just looked at my phone at the weather forecast. How much snow you getting out there in Los Angeles, Hannah?
I think 70s is a little warm for snow, Jay.
Good point.
Just saying. How about you? How about you?
You don't even want to know. Maybe 2 feet, but we will see once this show is over. All right.
Sorry.
Let's go from, it's okay. Let's go from Cali to a team looking to get to SoFi next season. The Steelers have verbally agreed with Pittsburgh native Mike McCarthy to become just the team's fourth head coach since 1969. Including the playoffs, McCarthy has 185 wins in 18 seasons as head coach of the Packers and the Cowboys. He led Green Bay to that Super Bowl in 2010 over the Steelers in Super Bowl 45. The hiring coming less than 2 weeks after Mike Tomlin stepped down after 19 seasons as the team's head coach. And Steelers reporter Brooke Pryor joining us now. Okay, what are your sources inside the Steelers building saying about this hire?
Well, I can tell you that it was met with a little bit of surprise, and that's because when you look at the list of who the Steelers interviewed initially, 5 of them were young defensive assistants. Most of those guys did not have head coach experience. In fact, the last 3 head coaches the Steelers hired were young defensive assistants with no head coach experience, all younger than 38.
Right.
Mike McCarthy is none of those things. But when you look back at what Art Rooney II said about a week and a half ago, he said he doesn't like the word rebuild and he wants to win from day one. You listed off all of those wins that Mike McCarthy has, the Super Bowls. He is a guy that they believe can kind of stabilize where things are and keep them winning. Art Rooney doesn't want to do a rebuild, and they felt like bringing in Mike McCarthy avoids that for right now.
Okay, so how does McCarthy's hiring impact, you know, that guy under center, Aaron Rodgers, coming back?
Well, I can tell you that Aaron Rodgers is going to do what Aaron Rodgers wants to do. However, he has a history with Mike McCarthy. The two were paired up together in Green Bay. They won a Super Bowl there, beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, of course. And there is some belief within the building that hiring Mike McCarthy could impact his decision perhaps to come back, because as we know, he came to Pittsburgh to play for Mike Tomlin, but maybe he'd stick around for another Mike, a guy that he has some familiarity with. And if Aaron Rodgers does not come back, Mike McCarthy has a history of developing young quarterbacks. He was a quarterbacks coach before he was an offensive coordinator. And then, of course, as an offensive coordinator, was working with some really prominent quarterbacks and was huge in the development of Aaron Rodgers. So if not Aaron Rodgers, then they believe that he can be the guy to develop the next franchise quarterback, perhaps selected in this year's draft, maybe Will Howard, maybe next year. They've got options.
Definitely a story to watch. Brooke Pryor with the latest on the Steelers hiring Mike McCarthy as their next head coach. Thank you, Brooke. Back to you.
Round 3 between the Rams and the Seahawks, and Jeff Darlington is with us from Seattle. This morning on SportsCenter, Sam Darnold struggled, I think to put it lightly, against the Rams with turnovers this season. What, Jeff, makes Seattle so confident that they can address those issues here with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line?
Well, Gary, can I call you Gary? Is that okay? Is that what we're doing on the show now? All right, so anyway, Gary, Sam Darnold right now, he has struggled with interceptions this season. He led the NFL in interceptions and turnovers for any quarterback, but he did sort of change things after Week 11 when he threw 4 interceptions against this same opponent. The team became a little bit more reliant on the run. Darnold understanding more, not taking as many risks, but it is nonetheless interesting going into this game that he did struggle. He had 2 picks in the second game against the Rams for 6 total. So Darnold knows that protecting the football in this game could be the ultimate key to it.
Darnold with the 6 picks in the 2 games against the Rams this season, the most by any quarterback against a single opponent this season. Jeff Darlington, 3,000 miles from home, but he packed a sense of humor. Thank you, Jeff.
I was going to join the 2 shot, but I didn't want to jump the shark because we jumped the shark often.
We did.
On this show. Coach,
not?
Why not?
Why not is coming.
There in Seattle. What is your message for Sam Darnold, an improbable run potentially to a Super Bowl?
Sam Darnold, why not show the Minnesota Vikings why they should have kept you?
You ain't lying,
You
Coach.
were in the championship game, and if you win this, you're going to the Super Bowl. How about that for Sam Darnold?
And
good for him.
First round pick, it didn't work out with the Jets, and then he spent time at a handful of different places, and now all of a sudden got the Seahawks knocking on the door of another Super Bowl appearance. What are you telling head coach Sean McVay on the other sideline, who turned 40 years young yesterday, Coach?
Why not show everyone why you're one of the best coaches in the National Football League? By the way, this could be his 3rd Super Bowl appearance if they win.
Coach, that's insane.
Pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
For a young man like that, fabulous football coach.
For a guy who just entered his 4th decade on this on Earth here.
Outstanding coach.
That's the NFC. Let's go to the AFC. What are you telling the Patriots on the road in Denver today?
Why not show everyone, it doesn't matter what your schedule looks like. Everyone was poo-pooing their schedule. Guess what? They're in the championship game, and if they win this, they're going to a Super Bowl. That's right, those New England Patriots are little pesky Patriots. I call them in the beginning of the season. They win this game, forget about your schedule. You won all the games you needed to win. This is why you're in this situation.
Oh, that Super Bowl drought has been so long and so tiresome. About time something broke for those fans of New England sports. What is your message, Coach, to Jared Stidham, who has not thrown a football in a regulation game in over 700 days?
Why not show everyone why Sean Payton selected you to be the backup quarterback?
Okay.
And guess what? Now you have to play.
Yeah.
Prove him right. Why he decided to bring you in to be the backup quarterback, just in case someone got hurt, and now he's on stage.
So this is interesting because we've talked to you, Damian, all of our professionals here, and there's a lot of questions surrounding both teams. And you would think with the way the Patriots are playing and Drake Mays and the MVP conversation, they're going to go in and handle Denver, who's rolling out a backup quarterback. Why is there so much or so many questions as to who can actually win this game?
Because of the situation that May ran into last week.
Okay.
He turned the ball over a bunch. He looked like a jittery quarterback right, against the Texans. Both those quarterbacks didn't play well. Right. Excuse me, yes. And so now you're in a situation where you have 2 quarterbacks, and no one's talking about this, the defense.
Come on.
The defense has to keep these teams in the game because of the quarterback play.
Do you still like your prediction of Seattle Broncos Super Bowl? Someone's going to win 3-2?
3-2. Getting close.
You don't know who's going to win, but someone's going to win that Super Bowl if it's those 2 teams, 3-2. That's Coach Herm Edwards. Why not? This morning on SportsCenter.
I have money analysis to money talks here. Erin Dolan is rolling with us on SportsCenter, giving us her best bets ahead of today's conference championship games. EKD, what do you like most in this Patriots-Broncos game?
I'm looking at Drake May to go over 6.5 rushing attempts. He's averaging 7 rushing attempts throughout this entire regular season and postseason so far. And Drake May has also led the NFL in scramble rushing.
The hiring of Mike McCarthy is not just a coaching change, it is a philosophy shift. The Steelers opted for safety over risk, experience over promise, present over distant future. Now, the challenge is to turn this decision into immediate results, whether with Aaron Rodgers under center or with the construction of the next franchise quarterback in an increasingly unpredictable NFL. Pittsburgh has made its message clear. Tradition does not mean immobility. It means knowing when to change in order to keep winning.